Welcome to the Sensible Project Manager Hangout. This is Hangout number 40. This is kind of an anniversary for us. We got the big 4-0. And today I'm very excited about, we have a great lineup today. We're going to be talking a little bit about, actually a lot about project management certification. We're actually going to review all of the certifications that are available through PMI. And I'm very pleased to announce that we have Cornelius Fichtner and Kevin Reilly with me today to go through that. They are the experts. I'm really looking forward to hearing from them. And anyway, we're going to take some time to first let's meet them. Oh, what am I doing?
Uh-oh.
Actually, a lot about project management. I don't know what's happening there. All of the certifications that are available. Oh, I know what's happening. Sorry. I'm very pleased to announce that we have Cornelius Fichtner and Kevin Rock. There we go. I got rid of that.
So Mark, evidently this is not live, is it?
Oh no, this is. I guess there's a little bit of delay. What happened there was. That's wonderful. You wouldn't believe the wonderful things that's happened to me when I'm live. So there, just as a brief story here, I don't know, it must have been the second or third time that I did this. Right in the middle of the Hangout, my router went down.
Oh,
just completely cut out.
That hurts.
So that's the benefits of having live entertainment here. Yeah. So sorry to everybody for that. I don't know if any. What I had is I had my browser going in the background, and so it was playing off my website. So you're right. There's a little bit of delay, but we're good. So now that we're back, we're gone through that. Let's turn it off of my face. Let's get to Cornelius. Cornelius, introduce yourself if you would, please.
Hello, Mark, and thank you very much for having me today. I love this. It's just like my own podcast where things just go wrong when you don't expect them.
In fact, I think I remember listening to I think it was your last one, you were interviewing Joseph Lehiff, and the vacuum cleaner came by.
The vacuum cleaner started. There was this guy with a humongous vacuum cleaner going past us every 20 or 30 seconds. It was just drowning our voices out. That was, one of those things. Hello, everybody. My name is Cornelius Fichtner. I am the host of the Project Management Podcast. I've been doing the podcast for nearly 10 years now, and episode 300 is coming up in about 2 weeks after we finish this here. And so I've been doing the podcast for those 10 years, but in my main job is actually I am mostly a PMP trainer, so I train people for the PMP exam and also for the ACP exam and for the CAPM exam. And my training company provides all of these beautiful training products, including professional development units. It's sort of the 10,000-foot view there of what I do, Mark.
So just real quickly, I think I was on your website, and the number of people you've trained is 30,000. Is that what's right?
I don't know the exact number, but it's at least 30,000. Yes, it's at least.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you. So you can already see I'm going to catch you off guard from time to time during this. So. Kevin, let's go to you. Kevin does not have a camera today on it, so go ahead, Kevin. Please introduce yourself.
Well, welcome. I appreciate being on your program today, Mark. My name is Kevin Reilly. I am a PMP. I am a PMI-ACP. I am a CSM and a CSPO, and I am running out of initials in the alphabet to put after my name, which is actually a good thing to have to happen for me, because I actually use those credentials. I have been in IT software development and project management for about 24 years. I currently own my own training company. It's Key Resource Project Management Training Solutions, and we do PMP exam prep training, PMI-ACP exam prep training, and also Agile coaching and pilot projects for Scrum organizations to get them up and running on Agile and Scrum. I have worked with Cornelius over the last 3.5 years as a consultant with him, and I am actually a student of the PM Prepcast back in 2011. And I'm also the speaker coordinator for the PMI California Inland Empire chapter, and I've had the pleasure of having Cornelius several times as a speaker. And I'm just enjoying being on the program today. And Mark, happy 40th anniversary.
Well, thank you. And by the way, we're talking about, you said that you're the speaker coordinator for your chapter?
Yes.
I am the program VP of programs for my chapter in the Inland Northwest as well.
Excellent. Fantastic.
So very good. And for some reason, my camera keeps on popping off, so we'll put up with that from time to time.
Okay.
All right. So the next thing I'd like to do is welcome, first of all. I would want to go to a little bit before trust me, we will be able to get to the certifications, but I am very interested on how people start into project management. I think all of us have a different story. So I know that especially for you, Cornelius, I've heard your story several times about how you moved from certification. From project management into what you're doing today and as a trainer. But I've never heard you tell your story about how you got into project management. So let's start with that, Cornelius. If you would give us a little clue on how did you get going on project management, maybe give us a couple things that happened at the very beginning, maybe your first project. Give us a little rundown there, and then Kevin be thinking, because we'll go to you too.
Okay, great.
Well, I have to tell you, it's been so long, I don't remember. We can move on straight to Kevin. No, I do remember. It really just sort of happened. I'm one of those accidental project managers, like so many of us out there. I started out my professional career as a software developer in the 80s with a beautiful coding language called COBOL.
Oh, wow.
Yes, yeah, it's been a while. And at one point, my boss came to me and he said, you know, go over into the business unit and talk to Herr, what was it? That was back in Switzerland, so it was in German, Herr Krummenacher, I believe. I'm not sure anymore. He wants something small. So I went over there and I was done 18 months later. Yeah.
Something small.
Yeah, exactly. I was working for a paper mill at the time, and his request was nothing really big. He just wanted to have a program that would calculate the price for every single piece of paper that we ever produced at that paper mill. Wow. Nothing really all too big and complex to do. And yeah, it took 18 months to complete. And that really was my first project. It's like, throwing me in there, go do this. It's something small that you might need to do. And of course, that brings up the first issue, right? You don't throw a junior software developer into a situation like this where you just go take care of this. I'm not really interested in what he wants. You go figure it out. You do it. Yeah, the company is no more in the meantime. I'm not sure if that had anything to do with it. It was more a financial issue there from that particular paper mill. Plus, the paper business in Europe kind of had a tough time in the 80s then. Anyway, so yeah, that was my first project that I worked on. And later on, after I got back from a year's travel, I joined a business consultancy group in my hometown, also in Switzerland. And for about 5-6 years, I worked as a business consultant / project manager / software developer / graphic artist, even at some point, and trainer. So I did everything really that a project manager did, but at the time we didn't call it project management. I became what was then known as an organizational planner. That was actually it was somewhere in between a bachelor's and let's see, what's before the bachelor's? Is it an associate's?
Associates,
yeah.
Yes.
So I would call it somewhere between as an associate's and a bachelor's degree. That's what that was. And only later did I actually learn and realize that what I was doing was more in the realm of project management. Yeah. So to me, that first project is still my favorite project I love to talk about, simply because I got it done. It showed me how I had a knack for managing projects, for making things happen, for understanding bigger pictures, for being able to bring people together and work together on a problem and deliver a solution to these people. So that's how I got started.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Yeah, sure.
Kevin, how about you? How did you get going?
Well, it's extremely interesting because it's kind of like the same story, just in a different location. I was actually in retail management, drugstore management for many years, and I moved to California from Long Island, New York, back in 1988, and worked for Long's Drugs, and they were actually back in 1990 moving from an electronic-based register system to something called an ROS or RIS POS system, Retail Information System, Point of Sale System. I got put in charge of the implementation of one of the San Diego district stores, and unfortunately did such a good job that they put me in charge of all of the other 10 implementations. So basically, my career was born in computers and hardware. And since I was pretty good at this, I decided to go back and get a degree in computer information systems at Coleman College while I was working full-time. When I graduated, my first job, similar to Cornelius's in '93, was as a point-of-sale developer in a very advanced language called Pascal, which was basically one generation ahead of COBOL.
Wow, you must be younger than Cornelius.
Not much, not much. But the story is pretty much the same. I worked for a lot of different companies. I worked as a software developer and kind of a jack of all trades, master of some or most. And throughout my career, I've worked as a developer, a QA tester, a technical writer, a hardware expert, a configuration specialist, and eventually ended up in project management by leading a team for a company called GERS Retail Systems in San Diego to implement a point-of-sale and back-end system for Del Sol, which is the largest supermarket chain in Mexico at that time. So just like Cornelius said, pretty much an accidental project manager, but really felt that I enjoyed it and continued doing that and got to the point where I got my PMP and started to be an instructor just to add to the plethora of skills that I can offer people to help them in their project management experiences.
And Kevin, did you have a degree in college?
I did. I originally went to school in Syracuse, New York, and I had 2 degrees. I was a business administration and a French conversation and culture major.
Wow.
And actually studied at the Alliance Française for a semester.
Interesting.
And my second one was second go-round in San Diego was obtaining the computer information systems degree. So I have a total of 3 bachelor's degrees.
Great. And then Cornelius, how about you? What is your degree in? Do you have a degree?
Well, the degree that I have was the organizational planner degree, yes. And before I started working for the paper mill, I did a commercial apprenticeship in Switzerland. The way that people learn and go to school in Europe is a lot different than here in the US. Only few people actually, well, a smaller percentage of people go to university and get degrees. We are more focused on apprenticeships and hands-on training and stuff like that. So even if you're a nurse, here nurses, I believe, go to university. In Europe, nurses, they go to nursing school and they actually work in a hospital for, I think it's 4 or 5 years, as they are learning to become a nurse full-time.
More on-the-job training.
Yeah, it's more on-the-job training than go to university and become academic.
Well, great. You know, the reason why I like taking the time to go through this is because I want new project managers to understand that there are so many different paths into project management, and as we've heard today, and I don't take the time because I think I've shared some of that before to my audience, is that we all have very similar steps at least those have been around for a while. Most of us are accidental project managers, and we get here in a different way. And there's so many different ways that we get there. Project management has become more and more popular, and now, of course, there are college degrees that you can get, which is changing the framework a little bit. Yeah. But certainly, everybody has to dive in with one of those projects where your boss comes to you and says, "Okay, it's a small little thing."
Yeah, exactly. Let's also not forget that while there are many ways into project management, there are also hundreds of ways out of project management, because many people that you talk to in middle senior management, they really like to take project managers and promote them, because as a project manager you work in multiple divisions of your company. Usually, if you have medium to large size projects, you understand the business, you've spoken to so many people in the organization, you know what Division A does, B does, C does, you get the bigger picture, you see it. So it's a way out and up as well. So project management is not just a good thing to do because it's fun, it's also a good thing to do for your career if you really want to get higher up in the organization.
Completely agree. It is a great stepping stone if you choose to do that. That's great point. All right, so that lays a little bit of a foundation of what we're about. Let's take the time. I wanted to go through, if you actually, I think Cornelius, in one of your emails to me, you said that we're going to review all of the 2 million certifications that PMI has,
and counting.
And counting.
Yeah, it's 2,000,001 by now.
So let's go ahead and do that. There are, I forgot to actually count. How many are there? There's
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We'll be discussing 8 today.
8 during the time. We'll talk about all 8 of them. However, really the ones that we'll focus on are the Agile one and the PMP. So let's start at the top of the list. Cornelius and Kevin, you agreed to spend some time describing what each one of them are and a little bit. So why don't we go ahead and get to that, and then we'll give a little bit more time to the ACP and the PMP. Okay. So,
all right. So let's just be honest here also. Nobody can keep all the information about these certifications in their head. So Kevin and I, we are going to be cheating. We are going to be opening up various standard files from PMI, and we're gonna read a little bit about what these things are all about. So there's just no way that anyone can remember everything about these certifications here.
Wow, that makes me feel so much better.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, it's 2,000,002 by now. Yeah. Yeah. So the first one we want to start with is the CAPM. That is the Certified Associate in Project Management. And as of, I believe, last month, there were 26,490 people who were certified CAPMs. And we're starting with that particular certification because it is really the entry-level certification for that PMI offers. Many people, when they think about getting a project management certification, they instantly think about the PMP. Then they look into this, and PMP is the one we're going to be talking about last. Then they suddenly realize, now, wait a minute, I don't qualify to be PMP yet. I just started in project management. I have to wait at least 3 years before I can even consider becoming PMP certified. The CMPM, on the other hand, is really for people who are starting out in project management, who want to prove to their employers, hey, I have the skills, I have the willingness, I've taken an exam, I've studied for this, and I want to become a good project manager and a better project manager. But it's also for those who are involved in projects, not as the project manager, but maybe as a project participant. Somebody who is constantly working on projects and would like to understand a bit better what's going on here in this project. Why are we needing a work breakdown structure? How does scheduling really work? So those people Those are the target audience for the CAPM. And if we go to the official description, the CAPM certification recognizes a demonstrated understanding of the fundamental knowledge, processes, and terminology as defined in the PMBOK guide that are needed for effective project management performance. And that really also is the gist of what this exam is all about. You know the PMBOK guide, and the PMBOK guide is pretty much the PMI Bible of project management. So in order to pass this exam, you have to study the PMBOK guide, you have to know the PMBOK guide, and you have to be able to say, answer questions like, in which process from the PMBOK guide do we create a work breakdown structure? And those are the kind of questions to expect on that exam. It's an entry-level exam. It is a knowledge-based exam.
Very good. And to be able to qualify for this CAPM is...
In order to qualify for the CAPM, there are a few things that you need to have. Wait a second, right there. So you have to have a secondary diploma, a high school or global equivalent, and you need 1,500 hours of experience on a project team. And most people, you know, by the time they think about, oh, I'd like to get a certification, they probably have worked a year or 2 years in project management, and they have these hours easily. Or you need that secondary diploma and 23 hours of project management education. So you can basically start today, if you have a secondary diploma, get 23 hours of education and take this exam without ever having participated on a project. Doesn't really make sense, but you know, it is a possibility, it is an option if you don't have the 1,500 hours yet.
So just to be clear on the experience, when you're talking about experience, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're leading a project.
No.
You're just participating on a project.
It's a certified associate in project management. So any role on a project that you had, developer, tester, QA, designer, sponsor, whatever it may have been, that qualifies. It's just the experience of working in a project team.
And that many hours is roughly about half a year if you were working on a project.
If you're working full-time on a project. Yeah, exactly.
Very good.
And that's it for the CAPM. And now we're going from sort of the entry level, we're going almost straight to the top, the higher end. And that would be the PgMP. Kevin.
Yes, so the PgMP is the credential for the Program Management Professional. And so basically the value or the reason that was created, it is used to, it's a set of concepts and terms and activities that make up a professional project management field in program management specialization. So what that means is there were certain minimum requirements to be a program manager, and it deals with the fact that globally, in addition to project management, especially in the virtual world today, a lot of project managers are managing programs which are actual collections of projects across cultural, geographical, and ethnic different types of projects and locations. So in addition to having basic project management skills, the program management professional requires an individual to have advanced skills in terms of program management to be able to run programs really at the global level. So that's kind of what we're talking about in terms of that. So that's kind of an overview. And the value proposition behind this is that employers can trust people with the PgMP, program management, to contribute directly to their crucial projects. And it supports individuals in meeting their organizational needs. Organizations can be confident in hiring capable, experienced project management programs across a global landscape. And that's really the importance of having that program management professional credential.
Very good. And also, does it mention in there the qualifications for that?
Yes. So and basically the target audience, first of all, for a PgMP are professionals who manage programs that contain complex activities that span functions, organizations, geographic regions, or cultures. In terms of professional education requirements, which PMI also refers to as contact hours, there are none. This is one, I think it's the only certificate or credential from PMI where there are no professional education requirements. Having said that, the professional work experience requirements are a lot more intense. If you have a bachelor's degree or global equivalent and a minimum of 4 years and 6,000 hours of project management experience and 4 years and 6,000 hours of program management experience within the last 15 years, you qualify. Or if you have a high school diploma or global equivalent, there is a minimum of 4 years and 6,000 hours of project management, and 7 years and 10,500 hours of program management experience within the last 15 years.
So the qualifications are really centered around experiential
Yes.
qualifications.
Yes.
Kevin,
Yes.
quick question. Wasn't that the portfolio management?
I think that the portfolio and the program are the same. This
Actually, I'm just looking at the PgMP eligibility requirements. It's 6,000 hours.
Right. Over 4 years, right?
Oh, now I see. I got confused when you said 10,500 because the portfolio manager also needs 10,500, but in a different capacity. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Frankly, this whole thing about, you need a secondary diploma with this many hours and a 4-year degree with fewer hours, that is way confusing.
It is.
It is, yes.
Basically, my recommendation to people is always this. See, even I didn't realize this. If you are thinking about getting one of these degrees, these certifications, go take a look at the handbook. PMI has a handbook that is specific for each of these certifications, and you will get all the details in there, right?
Well,
So
I'll tell
I
you
think
what.
it doesn't make much sense for us to regurgitate these numbers going forward because, frankly, these numbers occasionally change, and I don't think it's also of much value for the listener if we just throw, and for this you need 10,000, for this you need 2,000 hours at them.
Great idea. So what I'll do instead is I will include when I publish the show notes for the podcast that I'll produce, I'll point to the links for each of those qualifications.
Right.
That will help.
Yeah, that will help.
great.
Yeah.
Great suggestion. Thank you, Cornelius.
Sure.
All right. Should we move on?
Yeah, next we're moving on to the portfolio management professional. But first, let me just make sure you know that there are only 1,123 program management professionals, the one we just talked about, in the world.
Interesting.
And for the PFMP, which is the portfolio management professional, one we want to talk about now, there are only 162
Wow.
in the world. So this is the second lowest number that PMI actually has officially published in terms of how many credential holders are there. There is one more, we'll get to that a little later on, that has fewer even than the PFMP. But before we do that, let me pick up the PMBOK guide here quickly and make sure that everybody understands what the difference is between project, program, and portfolio. Okay, PMBOK guide, page 8, 5th edition here. The scope of a project. Project has a defined scope in itself. The scope is progressively elaborated within the project throughout the life of this particular project. One level up, you have the program. Programs have a larger scope. Usually programs encompass projects of the same kind. For example, all our space program projects are in the space program, okay? And then the portfolio, that's even a level up because we not only do space programs, we also have consumer electronics. We also have cars. we also have internet services. So multiple programs become a portfolio. It's a very, very simple way of putting it. So portfolios, they have an organizational scope, and that changes with the strategic objectives of our organization. So if we decide, you know what, internet services no longer our thing, we're selling this off, our portfolio shrinks because we decided to do something else. Okay, so what are we talking about then here in terms of the portfolio management professional? Here, that particular certification, that recognizes the advanced skills that are needed for the coordinated management of one or more of these portfolios or programs. So you really have to have a lot of experience, which also is shown in the fact that in order to even be allowed to take this exam, you have to have 7 years or 4 years, depending on your diploma, of experience. So you really must be a very experienced person. And I think there are only a few of these in the world. Like I said, 162 of them are certified. I think we've probably spent enough time on the PMP already as it is, because this is very likely a certification that only few people are going to want to achieve here.
But I'm glad you took the time to differentiate between portfolio, program, and project.
Frankly, I always have to pick up the PMBOK guide. I never know the difference by heart. It's one of those things. It just doesn't. This head is too small for programs and portfolios to remember what they are.
Great. So, Kevin, let's go to you.
Okay. So the next thing we're going to talk about is the actual, I believe it's the newest one, which is the PMI, actually, I'm sorry, let me go back. We're going to talk about the risk management professional.
You got it. Okay.
So the risk management professional is the PMI-RMP, and the reason it was created is to acknowledge an individual's unique experience on the project team, while also understanding that they have increased competence and specialization in the area of assessing and identifying project risks while mitigating threats and capitalizing on opportunities. Yes, positive risks are opportunities, more than a general practitioner, but also maintain a basic level of competence in all areas of project management. And to be honest, personally, this is one of the most important ones, and I'm actually not completely working on this yet, but it's the next credential that I want to get, because what I've seen in my own experience is most companies don't perform risk management on their projects, and if they do, they don't do it very well. So I think this is a really important certification to have out there. The value proposition for holders of the PMI-RMP is that employers can trust credential holders to possess the skills, knowledge, and experience so they can contribute directly to their crucial projects in terms of risk management. It also supports individuals in meeting the organizational needs at the strategic level in terms of risk management, and also on the specific projects that they work on, and also be able to create templates and other types of organizational process assets or artifacts that future projects and departments can use on their projects in terms of risk management. So this particular one is a very important one, again, because we don't always do it, and if we do it, we don't do it very well.
And there are many people that actually spend their whole career just on risk management. They make that their specialty. Pardon? Who?
Dr. David Hilson, the risk doctor.
Yes.
Yeah, he's the best-known risk management person out there. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, and by the way, 2,932 people are currently risk management professionals. It will soon be 2,933. That's when Kevin passes his exam.
Thank you.
Because he doesn't have enough initials after his name right now.
Exactly.
Well, the main one after my name was given to me by my wife. It's PITP. It's pain in the patootie.
Yes.
And yes, I kept that G-rated.
Thank you.
All right, we're moving on from the PMI-RMP to the PMI-SP. The SP is the scheduling professional. Here we have 1,242 people who are scheduling professionals. Now, when you hear scheduling professional, you think, wait a minute, you're saying there is a certification for somebody to open up Microsoft Project and putting information into Microsoft Project and just making a schedule? No, there isn't. No. We're not talking about the projects where, Microsoft Project is sufficient for scheduling. We're talking about somebody who develops the schedule for sending a rover to Mars. Okay, we're talking about really in-depth scheduling knowledge, making sure that things are on time, people who know how to run the Monte Carlo analysis on your project, who can tell you we are 74.8% certain that we can reach the deadline of developing this project if the following is all going to happen. So even though it sounds like, well, scheduling professional, anybody can schedule, this is something that is really in-depth. And when you look into this, you'll realize scheduling on a really large project is enormously important. Just imagine if you do not have a scheduling professional on your project and the Olympics start one day late. Right, that's the kind of deadline we're talking about here that scheduling professionals are dealing with. You have to start the Olympics on schedule. It cannot be a day late. It cannot be a day early. It's at 8 p.m. on that day. That's when everything starts, and that's when we are going. So this recognizes demonstrated knowledge and competency in the specialized area of developing and maintaining the project schedule. This is the official definition. And of course, they say it's for you if you have expertise in project scheduling. That's an obvious thing. That's an obvious thing. So from my perspective, when I originally heard that PMI was doing a risk management professional and the scheduling professional, I thought, that's a strange thing to do. But in the meantime, I've come to the realization there is a need for organizations to be able to say, we need somebody who can really help us with our risk. We need somebody who can really help us on our schedule, because these are important areas to us. Let's reach out to the people who have the certification, who have the experience, who have proven that they have the experience, and who have the appropriate credentials behind their name. And that's it for the RMP and the SP. Yeah.
Okay. Kevin?
Okay.
Yeah, and now we're moving on to the PMI-PBA.
Yeah.
And this is the one that has even fewer people certified than the portfolio management professional. The current official number is 0.
Because it's in beta right now, right?
It's in beta right now, exactly.
Right.
Yes, the official number is 0. And Kevin, take it away.
Yeah, so the PMI Professional Business Analysis, Professional in Business Analysis, the PMI-PBA. And the reason this is created is because business analysis is a topic of growing importance in project management. I think we can all agree with that. It's always been a very important, but it's growing in importance in terms of that, because we know that a lot of projects fail because of the lack of the proper gathering of requirements. A lot of times we give the customer what they think they want, but not what they need. So that's why this particular credential is being very important. The marketplace reflects this importance because project management practitioners increasingly embrace business analysis as a technique for uncovering business needs, managing the requirements, and also the ultimate goal of creating effective solutions to business problems. And as we all know, every project should be supporting a strategic objective of the organization, and getting the proper requirements through business analysis will help to do that. The PMI-PBA recognizes an individual's expertise in business analysis, and using these tools and techniques, they can help improve the overall success of project and of their organizations in general. So the value proposition in terms of those who hold the PMI-PBA is that it carries a high level of professional credibility in terms of business analysis. It requires a combination of business analysis training, experience working on projects, and an examination of current business analysis principles, practices, tools, and techniques, as well as those that are currently emerging in the market. It's a global credential that supports individual in meeting the needs of organizations that rely on business analysis practitioners to play key roles on their project teams. So as we know, business analysis is a major part of managing and successfully executing projects. And this is why PMI decided to create a separate credential for a business analysis.
Mark, let me ask you a question. You're an active project manager. How much time do you personally spend in business analysis?
Well, that's interesting because I am an active project manager, but actually recently I have been spending a lot of time as a product owner on the Scrum team.
Okay.
Because exactly what we're talking about here, although as a project manager in the past, I've actually tried to steer away from the requirements part, but I always get dragged into it unless I have specifically a BA on hand. In my current role, I'm filling in as a product owner, so essentially I am doing that role on a full-time basis.
Yeah, this is something that every project manager has to face. If it's a smaller, medium-sized project, you're going to be wearing multiple hats. Think back to my very first project. Go over there, he wants something small. Guess what the first thing was that I did? I became a business analyst. I had to first determine how do these processes work, and how do we map these as a software program, and how do we calculate all of these individual papers. So business analysis and project management, they go hand in hand, and if business analysis and requirements definition isn't done right, guess what? Your project is not going to deliver the right thing at the end. Yeah. So I completely understand. I actually, people ask pointedly, why is PMI offering a business analysis certification? And many people say, why hasn't it offered it for years already? It's so important.
Crucial.
Right? So you have to turn it around and really go that way.
Agreed.
Yep.
And now, just as a little sideline too, and I think it feeds the next one we're going to talk about as we think about how Agile is changing the way we do project management. We don't have the formal project manager anymore, and very, very really, the role of a project manager could be more business and analysis related in a Scrum world or in an Agile world. So,
yes, yeah, absolutely, and that's a great segue, both of you, for the ACP. So let me talk about the ACP specifically, Mark, and then I'll kind of tag on to your comments about where we as traditional or waterfall project managers kind of fit into this overall Agile world today. So the PMI Agile Certified Practitioner, or PMI-ACP, was created because Agile is a growing topic, a topic of growing importance in project management. I think we can all agree with that. Even though Agile has been around for a while, and by the way, Agile started with the Plan, Do, Check, Act cycle from Deming. It's just recently been embraced on different types of projects, and specifically product development projects in the marketplace. So the marketplace is reflecting the importance of using Agile methodologies as project managers increasingly embrace Agile as a technique for successfully managing their projects. The value proposition for an ACP aspirant, someone that gets the certification, is that it recognizes an individual's expertise in using Agile practices on their projects, while also demonstrating their increased professional versatility through the use of Agile tools and techniques. In addition to that, the PMI-ACP certification carries a higher level of professional credibility because it requires a combination of Agile training, experience working on Agile projects, and examination of Agile principles, practices, tools, and techniques. This global certification also supports individuals in meeting the needs of the organization that rely on Agile practitioners to apply a diversity of methods on the project. And let's go back to that real quick, that value proposition. The reason that PMI certifications in general are more globally recognized is because of the stringent requirements. In terms of the ACP, you have to pass a test, you have to have a certain number of hours of Agile project experience, by the way, not Agile project management experience, which it was originally created for with PMI. You needed Agile project management experience, but really you need Agile project experience. But the training that's involved in the ACP and the project management, the PM Prepcast from OSP International reflects this, is we look at 7 or 8 different methodologies under the Agile umbrella. So there are specific methods that are more popular than others, such as Scrum, but there are other methods such as Kanban, the Crystal family, dynamic systems development, lean software development, adaptive software development. There are a lot of different methods. So what stands out about the ACP credential from something like the CSM or the CSPO, both of which I have, Certified Scrum Master and Certified Scrum Product Owner, is that with the CSM and those, you basically sit in a class for 2 days, understand the principles, and you get your certificate as a Certified Scrum Master. Now, I'm not belittling those because they're very important for the specific details that you need to be successful on a Scrum project. However, the ACP gives you an overview of Agile, but actually delves into 7 or 8 different methods other than Scrum. And that's why it's more of a globally recognized certification in terms of Agile.
Interesting.
So,
I have not had the opportunity yet to dig into that ACP, and I wanted to understand that a little bit better. So, Kevin, that's helped a lot. Thank you.
Great. You're welcome.
Yeah, and also a big differentiator between CSM certification, the Certified Scrum Master, and the ACP is the fact that on the ACP you have to have experience. With the CSM, very similar to the CAPM, all you need is really training, and then you can take the exam and become CSM certified. Yeah. 6,885 people are currently PMI-ACP certified. Right. So if you add the numbers up that we've had so far, that's 27, 28, 32, 39, 40. So we're talking about 45,000 people in total that we've talked about so far.
Right.
Okay. Now we're moving on to the PMP. 636,000 people in comparison are PMP certified. So this is the 800-pound gorilla. This is the granddaddy. This is also the oldest of the PMI certifications. As Kevin has mentioned, we do have training that we offer for these certifications. We focus on the PMI-ACP with our Agile Prepcast at agileprepcast.com, obviously, and we focus on the PMP exam with the PM Prepcast, which is at pmprepcast.com. And as a surprise for everybody listening to this, we are giving away one of each of these courses to the listener. And Mark will, or has announced how exactly you can participate in this giveaway here. So keep your eyes and ears open in the show notes to find out how to get access to one of these courses. Of course, if you're listening to this interview in 10 years, then, you know, it's already been given away. So it has to be within the next month or so after this actually is first published. Okay, back to the PMP, the Project Management Professional. Now, remember when I started out with the CAPM, this is for the associate, this is for everybody, this is for people who participate in a project, this is for those who are starting out on a project, this is a knowledge-based exam. The PMP, on the other hand, is the experience-based project management certification. This is for those who already are project managers, for those who are leading projects, who have been leading, who have shown that they have the experience. Or to give you the definition, the official one, the PMP certification recognizes competence of an individual to perform the role of a project manager, specifically experience in leading and directing projects. So that means As a PMP, or as you are trying to become a PMP, you have shown that you're responsible for all aspects of a project, for the whole life of a project. You can lead and direct cross-functional project. If I give you a project, you will be able to lead it, no matter if you have experience in that particular industry or not. It's always better to have industry experience, but even if I give you a project in an industry that you have never led before, as a PMP, you should be able to at least get it going and then find the right people, bring in the experts. You become the person who manages the project while your team manages the industry, manages what really needs to happen here. So industry experience always helpful, but not necessarily the most important thing. Here we're really focusing on your experience of managing and leading the project to a successful completion. Okay, and this is the big one. This is the one that everybody wants to obtain. That's why we have 636,000 people in the world who have this certification going. And you know, also from a business perspective, this is the one. If you are in training, you want to be training for the PMP, because this is where a business viable income in the end also comes from.
Well, right. That's interesting. You know, you say that number, 600, and what was it,
636,000. Yeah, 600,000 more than all the others together, roughly.
Yeah, and if I think about how quickly that's grown, I got my certification in 2001. Yeah. My certification number is something like 39,000. So since 2001, they've put on almost 600,000 certified.
Well, yeah. and Mark, you also have to realize that these are 636,000 practicing. So some people might have actually got their PMP and let it lapse. So it's probably higher.
Yeah, I know of a few people who are no longer PMPs because and I just loaded up the statistics file. I keep a running log of these numbers. So on May 31st, 2010, there were 381,000. And now 4 years and a few months later, it's 636,000. So we've seen an increase of that's over almost 300,000 in 4 years.
Wow.
And just to talk about the importance of it, I'm currently in transition looking for jobs in Agile and Scrum, and even for those jobs, the prerequisite for doing project management is a PMP for most companies now.
And even with the Scrum background, yes, the Scrum requirement.
They're looking for a combination of both, because what a lot of companies are doing is they're actually going into Agile using hybrids. They don't go straight in and use Scrum right away. They use combinations of some of the things from Scrum and Agile to improve their projects on their pilots and eventually move toward that.
And that's exactly what we're doing. And that's what they're doing in my company. Is we are a blended environment.
Right, and then the other thing is, when I got my PMP, I was a consultant with DirecTV, a small startup company in Southern California, and literally the day that I got my PMP, my manager brought me into his office. I thought I was going to the principal's office because I thought I was in trouble, but he immediately gave me an 18% raise just for having the PMP credential.
He did.
Wow.
That is unexpected.
That's
Those
the power.
were the good days in business.
But it drives home the power of the PMP and its global recognition.
Well, to that point, I had a similar situation when I got my PMP. First of all, I was working at a company where we made banking software. And so it was very valuable for the company to state to their clients that you're going to be led by a PMP certified project manager.
Right.
And when I got my certification, so first of all, they really pushed that on me to make sure that I was getting certified, and because that brought the value of the engagement up. And I had a very similar situation as you, Kevin, as when I got my certification, my salary was increased.
See, we're not making these things up.
No.
Right. No, that didn't happen to me. My salary didn't increase.
You didn't give yourself a raise?
No. Actually, I got my PMP certification while I was still working for the man.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes.
Well, okay, so we've talked about the value of it in the sense of monetary value. Are there other reasons that certification is really important? We got just a couple minutes. I want to touch on that briefly, and then we're pretty much to the end. But I do want to bring that up real quick.
Yeah, having the PMP certification nowadays is a must as a project manager. If you are applying for a project management position and you do not have PMP behind your name, very likely you are not going to be part of the people who get into the final round.
Right.
That much said, it's not always the case. If, say, the city of Kuala Lumpur calls you up and says, hey, we would like you to be the project manager for the 2024 Olympic Games, they're not calling you for the PMP, they're calling you for who you are.
Right.
So if the project manager is more of a representative thing, it's somebody who has name recognition and who is in the stratosphere up there, that's a different story. But the people who actually do the work, who do the real project management work, you want to have a certification. You want to have the PMP certification. That is definitely a must to have. Would you agree, Kevin?
Yes, I would, absolutely. And because PMI is such a globally recognized brand, having a certification from PMI goes a long way as a prerequisite. In addition to that, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, Mark, but certain of the actual certifications from PMI are actually considered credentials. So for instance, the PMP is a credential similar to a CPA, which it means it's a higher level of competence that you're proving by having a credential rather than a simple certification. So when I teach my classes, my PMP exam prep classes, I make sure that my students understand that and that they actually communicate that when they're trying to get a raise or going on a new project or looking for a new position. It's really a differentiating factor.
Thank you. I wasn't, I guess I hadn't even thought of it that way, but you're right. One other thing I do want to point out, and then we do need to sign off, that is, Cornelius, I met you down at this year at the Global Congress, and I remember, help me with this, if I remember right, I remember them saying at the Congress that we are now to the point where this is not just the U.S., our PMPs, or at least the PMI membership, is about half in the U.S. and half outside of the U.S., if I remember that correct.
I can't tell you that because the statistics that PMI publishes are just the blank numbers. So I can tell you that PMI has, 273 chapters around the world. Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, if we put a chapter into every county of the U.S., that still leaves about 150 probably for chapters outside of the United States. We have 454,000 membership, right? So you would expect that, about half of that is probably outside of the U.S. I believe much of that is driven by the fact, however, that when you become certified, if you are a member, you usually get a substantial discount for the certification. So the membership fee is like $130. Usually the discount is greater than $130. So become a member, get a big discount for your certification. So that may drive membership as well, because so many people outside of the US are getting certified. I'm getting the certification, I'm becoming a member. Yeah.
Very good. So thank you. I don't know exactly if I heard that or if maybe I was sleeping. I don't know. But it's definitely clear that PMI is a very global presence, very global, as Kevin, as you mentioned, as a global brand.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Well, both Kevin and Cornelius, thank you so much for taking the time to go through each one of these. I don't think I've ever really heard all of them all at the one place at one time. So I hopefully that this was definitely valuable to me. Hopefully that is very valuable to the listeners as well. As a parting point, if Cornelius, why don't we start with you? Just give us a little bit about how people might contact you, and then we'll go to Kevin.
All right. So for those who are interested in the PMP certification, go to pmprepcast.com. For those of you interested in the Agile certification, go to agileprepcast.com. And for those who just want to know and learn more about project management, listen to my free podcast, which is the Project Management Podcast, pm-podcast.com. That's it. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Kevin.
Okay, so my company offers live boot camps for both PMP and PMI-ACP training. That website is krpm-training.com. And as a matter of fact, Cornelius and I have an exclusive blended learning program where I use materials in class that I've created, and we use his PM exam simulator and also his PM Prepcast and Agile Prepcast, depending on the course, as a blended. And I am the sole vendor for that in Southern California. In parting, thank you, Mark, for the opportunity to talk about this. And I never say good luck to my students. I only say happy studying.
Thank you very much. You're right.
Yeah, thank you for having me as well, Mark.
You're welcome. And so just for those of you, many people are not really able to watch this on a video. I thank you for those that are watching right now live. I will be taking the audio, since I think that this is so valuable. I will include the audio in this in the Sensible Project Manager Hangout. I'm sorry, the Sensible Project Manager podcast, and I will release this sometime next week, early in the week, I hope. And to what Cornelius had mentioned, along with that, you would expect to hear a little bit more about the giveaways that Cornelius has, as well as I will also have a giveaway as well. So thank you again. Everybody wave. Have a great day.
Kevin, are you waving?
I am. It's a virtual wave.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.